Whenever you feel I am getting weak, listen to this. From the earliest days of awareness, there was a lingering sense that something within was greater than what the world allowed to be seen. This feeling wasn't arrogance nor a delusion of grandeur, but a quiet knowing that deep beneath the layers of fear, doubt, and conformity, there existed a force untapped, a self yet to be lived. Most pass their lives without ever touching this truth. They walk the paths carved by others, clinging to what has been approved, scared to break away lest they be judged, cast out, or misunderstood. But the few who stop running from themselves begin to understand that their real power isn't something they must earn, it is something they must remember. The first awakening begins subtly. It comes through frustration, discontent, a gnawing emptiness that no success or approval can fill. This disquiet is not a flaw. It is the soul's signal that it has been buried too long. For too many, this signal is ignored. They anesthetize it with noise, with distraction, with the false comfort of belonging to a world that demands their compliance. But for the ones who listen, even in quiet desperation, a new path emerges, a descent, not into darkness, but into the forgotten light within. This descent is not pleasant. To know one's power, one must first meet one's shadow, the rejected parts, the feared impulses, the painful truths that the conscious mind hides behind a mask. And the shadow does not go quietly. It throws up shame, guilt, fear. It brings up the past, the childhood wounds, the moments of humiliation and rage, the tears never shed. It is here that most retreat. But those who continue, who face this shadow not as an enemy, but as a teacher, begin the sacred task of integration. For nothing within is truly bad. It is only the unloved that becomes dangerous. In integrating the shadow, something ancient awakens, not new knowledge, but ancient memory. A sense of self that was always there, waiting, held back by the mind's refusal to feel. And as this self emerges, it brings with it clarity, not in the form of answers, but in the realization that one's life is not meant to be a repetition, but a creation. That no system, belief, or authority holds dominion over the soul. That one's instincts, when purified of ego and distortion, are more intelligent than any external doctrine. The power begins to grow. But this power is not domination. It is not the ability to control others. It is not noise, not visibility, not force. It is presence. The power to remain centered while the world sways. The power to speak without fear, to walk alone without loneliness, to choose truth over comfort. It is the power to say no without guilt, yes, without dependence. It is the power to be fully oneself, not who one was told to be, but who one has always been. True power is quiet. It does not beg for recognition. It does not seek permission. It simply exists, like the sun giving light, not to please, but because it cannot help but shine. And the more one lives from this inner source, the less they are moved by outer chaos. The world may applaud or condemn, but neither changes the fact that one is whole. This is the liberation that few know, not because it is unreachable, but because it is feared. For to embrace one's power is to embrace responsibility. No longer can blame be placed on others. No longer can one hide behind excuses or wounds. Power requires ownership of choices, emotions, outcomes. It demands growth. It demands honesty. And it demands courage, not the loud, heroic kind, but the quiet courage to face oneself every day without turning away. The journey does not end here. The realization of power is not a final destination, but the beginning of real life. For now, the work begins to express that power in a world that may not understand it. There will be resistance. The conditioned mind of others will seek to pull the awakened one back into their slumber. They will say, "You've changed," as if that's a sin. They will mock, dismiss, or fear. But this no longer matters, for once power is felt, not even rejection can dim it. And slowly, through living truly, one becomes a mirror to others, a reminder of what lies within them too. This is the deeper calling of power, not to dominate, but to awaken. Not to be above others, but to show them their own heights. And this cannot be done by force, only by example. Power lives, and by its living, it inspires. Without preaching, without convincing, just by being. This living truth burns away false attachments. It simplifies. One no longer needs to prove, to acquire, to conform. The game of status becomes laughable. The need for validation dissolves, and in that silence, clarity comes about one's path, one's purpose. Life ceases to be about achieving and becomes about aligning. Each action springs from within, not from shoulds or fears. And this is the rarest freedom. To live not by reaction, but by creation. Many will call this selfish, but the truly powerful know that self-realization is the least selfish act, for only the whole can give without resentment. Only the free can uplift without agenda. Only the authentic can love without condition. And this is the paradox, that in fully claiming oneself, one becomes of greatest service to the world. Time passes differently for the awakened. Not because life slows down, but because it deepens. Every moment becomes richer. Even pain has purpose. Even solitude has warmth. There is no need to escape. There's only presence. And in presence, life reveals its true face, not as a battleground, but as a mirror. Not as a test, but as a dance. Not as punishment, but as a calling to become. This is not a path for the faint of heart, but it is the only path that leads home. Not to a destination, but to a state of being where one no longer fears themselves, where the mind serves the soul and the soul serves life, where nothing is wasted, not even the years of wandering. For even the lostness was a teacher, a guide in disguise. To understand your power is to return to your origin, not your conditioning, not your roles, not your past, but your essence. The timeless part of you that has witnessed all, endured all, and waited patiently for your return. That part does not shout, it whispers. And when finally heard, it says, "You were never broken. You were only asleep. Welcome back." And so begins the rest of life, not with certainty, but with truth. Not with control, but with surrender. And not in fear, but in quiet strength. The kind that no one can take from you. Because it was never given by them. It was yours all along. Please tell us how you liked the video and share it. Thanks for watching.